sick to death of the place, the people, everything.
This week, the hotel inspector revisits the Hanmer House of Horrors in Shropshire.
Doesn't make any difference, Ruth.
Well, it should make a difference.
It doesn't.
It happens here all the time.
Because you don't manage the bloody inquiries properly. It's just insane. I don't know. I don't even know how to get through the day. I really don't. It's just, I mean, speechless.
This is the Hanmer Arms, a picturesque hotel, village pub and restaurant nestled on the English-Welsh border. It used to be the heart and soul of this community, turning over £1 million each year with rooms booked to capacity, but now it's in trouble. Chartered accountant Keith Morris and his wife Val took over 3.5 years ago. Like hundreds of people every year, they thought their future lay as hoteliers, giving them a chance to work together and giving Val more time to indulge her love of pets.
You're a very brave boy with spiders. You are. Yes, very brave boy.
They bought the Hanmer Arms with the help of family investors, but since they've been the proprietors, turnover has plummeted by a quarter. They're losing over £2,000 a week, and the business hangs in the balance.
And you basically aren't doing enough business to pay all the bills. And that's the position we've been in now for 18 months.
Drastic improvements are needed urgently, or Keith and Val risk losing the hotel for good. Enter Ruth Watson, award-winning hotelier, best-selling food writer and acclaimed cook. Ruth has been running hotels successfully for over 20 years, and she's famous for her ability to turn a business around, which is just what Keith and Val hope she can do with the Hanmer Arms.
Running a hotel is a complex, difficult job. You have to be a combination of personnel manager, accountant, housekeeper, host, advertising exec. Worse, you have to do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
You have to treat the customers like children, or if you're running a farm, you treat them like the farm animals that have to be looked after at the end of the day.
It's Ruth's mission to get this dysfunctional hotel out of hot water.
I'm Ruth. Are you
Ruth,
Keith?
I'm Keith.
Yes,
Pleased
hi,
to meet you, Ruth. Hi there, my wife
Hello,
Val.
hello, hi.
The first task on Ruth's list to establish exactly how bad the crisis at the Hanmer is.
I have heard on the grapevine that your backers effectively are your family.
Correct.
And your family are pretty pissed off
Well,
with
they
what's
are,
happening to their
absolutely.
money. And you really
Absolutely.
can't blame them.
No,
can
you can't. They've had not a penny back in 3.5 years.
And not only not a penny back, but
they're
they...
not having any wages for
Yeah.
3 years. And
Okay.
what do we live on? Fresh air?
I don't know. What do you live on? What
Borrowed
do you live
money.
on?
Borrow
We
money.
borrow money.
You borrow money.
We remortgage our house 4 times in 3 years.
Right, okay. Let me tell you, this business can be successful. There's absolutely nothing to stop it being successful. The only thing that will stop it being successful is you two.
So where does Keith think he's been going wrong?
I didn't understand the business. I didn't understand the requirements. I didn't understand the nature of the customers. I do need some support, guidance, whatever you like.
Well, we're going to
to call it,
stop
and I'm happy to do
floundering,
it.
we're going to stop panicking,
Right.
we're going to do things.
Okay, great.
Before Ruth can suggest a solution, she needs to go through the key areas that can be improved.
Hello. There is nobody on show. There's nobody for the customer to come and talk to ask questions of. Nothing. It's like everyone hides. It's very peculiar. I'm beginning to wonder whether I'm in a hotel or a gift shop. So my first impression about this hotel is that I don't know what I'm meant to be doing as a customer. I don't know where I'm meant to go. Nobody was there to greet me to say, have you come to stay? Have you come to eat? What have you come to do here? It's all very confusing.
The Hanmer Arms is a traditional country hotel set in 6 acres of grounds with 23 bedrooms. There are 3 function rooms, 2 of which are licensed for weddings. There's plenty of room for conferences and a bar and restaurant that can cater for up to 45 diners.
I like this smoked salmon rosettes with dilled cucumber and serve with lemon mouse. I don't think I want lemon mouse.
The hotel employs 46 staff, but with the restaurant empty and only 7 of the 23 rooms booked, it's painfully obvious the wage bill will be the biggest strain on Keith, Val and the family investors.
So you're off now for the afternoon?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get an understanding of, how they deploy the staff. So you're just part-time though here, are you? Yeah.
We do have a lot of staff, we pay a lot of wages, and at the end of the day, which I'm sure you'll find, Keith and I do most of it. And I think that's what really upsets us the most.
Can I ask you a leading question? Why don't you wear any kind of uniformy thing that makes you look as if you're part of the team?
We've never really had uniforms.
Do you not think it's nice to be identified as somebody who works here?
No.
No? Okay.
It soon becomes clear there are other problems dragging the hotel down.
No one knows what's going on, so we just get told different things every day. It's a bit of a joke, actually.
One person says one thing and another person says another thing.
And that's not all. The more Ruth finds out, the worse it gets.
Keith and Val, frankly, haven't got a bloody clue what they're doing.
You're not at home for
Make any difference, Ruth.
Well, it should make a
It
difference.
doesn't.
I'm sick to death of the place, the people, everything.
Keith and Val Morris are in trouble. Their hotel's losing money fast and their family backers are losing patience. They're hoping award-winning hotelier Ruth Watson can help them stem the flow of mounting losses. To get to the bottom of the trouble, Ruth's begun a thorough investigation into the running of the hotel. She's already identified a crucial problem: too many staff, which equals a huge wage bill. For every £1 they make, 48p vanishes straight into the staff's pay packets. So every day, Keith and Val have to pay £300 out of their own pocket to cover the salaries. And the second problem soon becomes apparent to Ruth. Keith and Val aren't always a visible presence, and they don't have clearly defined roles within the business.
The Hanmer Hotel does bear resemblance to the Marie Celeste on too many occasions. I know it's mid-afternoon, but I could be checking in here. There's no one around, and I just...
Ruth believes that both staff and guests need to know who's in charge.
Are you waiting to be served? So am I.
Proprietors should be reassuring and welcoming figures for the visitors. They give the hotel its identity and can make or break its reputation.
In this place.
They've got no idea.
No idea at all. I'm sort of beginning to agree with you.
And they should be dependable, accessible employers who lead the staff by example while still making them feel valued. It's a vital role.
I've been here about 18 months and we haven't had a staff meeting, so we don't know anything that's going on.
I don't feel it's a secure enough job for me to pursue my career any further here.
So where are these uncommunicative leaders? Keith can often be found tucked away in a porter cabin, secreted in the hotel's grounds, far from the demands of staff or guests.
You couldn't be more hidden away if you tried. Come with me.
This need for privacy is costing £3,000 a year rental, money they can ill afford when losing £2,000 a week.
Ah, here you are.
This is where I...
Yeah, hide being the operative word.
Keith's need to escape isn't unique. Val is regularly off-site, tending to her pets, and refuses to be placed on any of the work rotas.
Well, there's no stress here, and I'm with the animals I've been with since I was born, since they were born rather, and reared them and slept in the stable with them when they've been poorly, and I've known their mothers and their fathers, and it's just outside, it's a different environment. But, oh, jealousy. Oh, jealousy.
The staff accuse Val of being interfering, inapproachable, and lacking a clear direction. They also say her communication skills are poor.
Do you have regular meetings with Val?
Normally we get notes.
You get
Val.
notes?
Normally we get notes.
That doesn't sound like a very friendly thing.
No, it isn't.
No.
It antagonises the staff. None of us feel that we could have approached Val. It depends what mood she was in. If she's in a pleasant mood, then yes, you can speak to her.
Yeah.
But if she's not, you just cannot.
So many things get built out of proportion, and so many people perceive things wrongly simply because they don't just sit down in a room and say, you piss me off, I'm obviously pissing you off, why are we pissing each other off? Can we not, as two adult people, get together and sort this problem out?
The next problem Ruth identifies, the lack of corporate business. When they acquired the Hanmer Arms, it had a healthy client base. With sizable function rooms and a good location, a hotel like this should be attracting £500,000 worth of corporate trade a year. Instead, it's attracting almost none.
We were very reliant, when we took it over, on 3 companies for probably 60% of our corporate business, which in itself represented about 40% of the total turnover. Right. And we were too reliant on them, obviously. And when we lost 2 of them, it nearly put us out of business because we didn't, I don't think, realise it was nigh on impossible to replace them.
What makes the lack of bookings at the Hanmer more shocking is that in the surrounding area, corporate trade has actually increased by 12 to 14% every year for the last 3 years. Added to the excess staff, the invisible proprietors and the lack of corporate business are 4th problems dragging Hanmer into the depths of disaster.
M4257.
Keith and Val's lack of experience is telling. Despite all the staff they have, 2 of the most important roles remain unfilled. They've been trying to attract a permanent head chef for the last 3.5 years, with no success. As a result, they've had to rely on freelance chefs, which cost them about £10,000 more because of agency fees, a huge and unnecessary expense. Adrian is one of the current agency team. With his experience, he's well qualified for the job, so surely it would be sensible to make him full-time.
So, do you want to be interviewed as head chef?
Not at this moment in time now. I've had an input into the business. No, I don't think it would suit me. Because of lack of communication, the lack of skill, and the lack of experience within the hotel as hoteliers, there's very little. And I'm used to working in a more organised, more professional atmosphere.
As well as a full-time chef, they're crying out for a full-time receptionist. This means the desk is often left unmanned during crucial business hours, and with Keith and Val rarely on site, the Hanmer could be missing out on vital bookings.
I'm going to answer the phone. Hello, the Hanmer Hotel.
The phone is often left unmanned. When it is answered, the whole booking process seems unnecessarily complicated. Val has one system for the bookings.
So do you run 2 diaries, do you?
Yes, we do. This is the Bible. This is the absolute gospel.
But does daughter Charlotte, the restaurant manager, work the same way?
Where do you put bookings to start with?
Function bookings, where would you put them?
If the sheet's there, I put them straight on the sheet.
Aha! You see, we have lack
Where
of
do you normally put
communication,
them?
don't we? But you're
We've
leaving.
always written things in the diary and copied them to the sheets
Why? What's the point of writing it twice?
because it falls safe. We've always done
No,
it.
it's not. Actually, what you're doing is you're not actually having a fail-safe thing. You're actually allowing a difficulty to occur because you've actually got 2 systems running.
If Ruth wanted any further proof the hotel badly needs a full-time receptionist, she need look no further. When barman Nigel takes a booking, he uses yet another system entirely. He's taken an important dinner booking for a coachload of pensioners.
Bye-bye. Bye.
But it's now 8:30 and the function room is still empty, and the meal prepared for them is looking far from appetising.
We're now 2.5 hours past the coach party's witching hour. Yeah. What really bothers me is if they do cancel or just don't turn up, are you going to get the money back?
That I really don't know because you need to speak to Nigel because he's arranged that.
But do you not have a system, a house system?
Yes, we do. We all seem to have different rules.
Yeah.
With such a lack of communication, no wonder this hotel's in such financial trouble. By the time the coach party turns up, it's nearly 9 o'clock. Not only are they late, but there are far more of them than expected. The whole hotel goes into panic. Tired guests are steered left, right and centre, while Keith and Val try to run the separate bar-restaurant as normal. With no full-time receptionist, and with a random system where any member of staff can take bookings, disasters are bound to happen. After observing the chaotic way in which Keith and Val run things, Ruth finds Keith lurking in the kitchen.
You've got 3.5 years of receptionists who don't know what they're doing, who don't follow systems, who don't file things, who don't pass on information, who don't communicate with other heads of department, and it is starting at the basics.
If you ran this place and 30 people turned up, although there are only 20 booked, would you send them away or would you accept them? Answer the simple.
It wouldn't happen.
It happens here all the time.
Because you don't manage the bloody inquiries.
I don't, look, hang on. If customers historically in this area know that at the Hanmer...
Ruth calls a general meeting for all the senior staff. Along with Keith and Val, their daughter Charlotte, the restaurant manager, and Nigel, Hanmer's assistant manager and barman. Ruth's first aim, to get a measure of Keith and Val's commitment to the hotel. They need to take clearly defined roles and go on a rota.
Val, what I would like to suggest is if you define the job you're going to do and we rota it in for the days you want to do it, can you not commit 2 weeks ahead to saying, I can come in on Tuesday from lunchtime to close, I can come in on Thursday from breakfast to da-da-da, I'm not coming in on Friday at all. Could you not make that commitment?
No, I couldn't.
You really couldn't?
Well,
Why don't you
I'd
come
probably
in?
have dead dogs if I didn't, and I'd probably be wanted or put in jail by the RSPCA. And I do have a daughter who needs help occasionally, apart from my daughter here, and I do have another son. I have 3 children, and it's very difficult to be in 3 places, 4 places at once.
But what I'm saying
Children
is...
are for life, like dogs.
Yeah, but your children are grown up. You're not
It
at home
doesn't
for
make any difference, Ruth.
Well, it should make a
It
difference.
doesn't.
But be honest, the issue is you want to go home to have a break, to be with the dogs and cats and hedgehogs and all the other things you want to do, isn't it?
Well, they have to have some input.
Look, I'm not...
Nobody's
I'm not
trying
getting
to
it.
Hey, I've got an idea. Let's get them all shot, kids included.
Look, Valerie, listen. What we are saying is you want to do that. You want to have a break to go home to be with your animals.
What's the point of having animals if you're going to
The
ignore
animals
them?
was there before the business.
Exactly.
I'm not denying it. Tell Ruth the truth.
Incredibly, Val seems more concerned about her dogs than her business.
We did that with the buffet.
Faced with such negativity, Ruth comes up with a radical
What would
suggestion.
you say if I said, don't work in this business at all? Stay away from it.
I don't know.
I thought you would have said whoopee.
I think I'm better at it than you are. If your house was on the line, would you want to stay at home and let somebody else run your baby? No way.
Right, so your answer is you want to work here?
Yes.
Right, I think that's absolutely fine and that's right, and I'm very pleased that as a proprietor you want to work here, and I think that's how it should be. But what I would like you to consider doing is a proper job. Not an overview of everybody and everything, not an interference in everyone's departments, not a kind of, I'll be here some days, not theirs, whatever. I want you back in the business, right? Both with the customers and with the staff.
Although Val says she doesn't want anyone else to run her hotel, she's also made it clear she'd rather be with her dogs and animals. It remains to be seen if she and Keith can commit to a more defined and high-profile role.
Hello, Hanmer Hotel.
Next on Ruth's to-do list, to bring on board a full-time receptionist.
Yeah, that's what worries me. It's going to get very complicated.
Reception is the customer's first experience of the hotel, and first impressions are crucial.
We've got Mr. and Mrs. Robertson, that's the room with the cot and extra bed.
Yeah, that's not me.
A good front of house is vital.
Right, Keith, it is one of you. I don't mind having one of you to do the paperwork, please. What's the name, please?
Ruth arranges for them to interview Alison, an experienced receptionist with an impeccable CV who spent almost 20 years in the industry.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
My husband Keith.
But if they want someone of her calibre, they'll first have to convince her it's a great place to work.
Occupancy has been a problem. I mean, we used to run at 60%, it did drop. We lost quite a bit of corporate business about 18 months ago. We need to sell ourselves a bit better than we have done. We don't actually have a formal afternoon receptionist.
A bit haphazard, really.
That is a big problem to us.
And we don't know anything about
Well,
it.
down that dip is our reception.
You just feel trapped in.
That's hopeless.
You couldn't have a computer there.
That, quite honestly, is a nonsense.
The phones are awkward.
It's not run as efficiently and as structured as it should be.
After a quarter of an hour of moans and groans about the terrible state of their business, Ruth jumps in.
I think you've done a lot of chatting to
Yes.
Alison about your problems, and if I
Yes.
was in her seat, I'd be running now.
The last hotel I worked in was, it was already a very good standard when I went there, but we built it up myself with the owners and won awards and progressed. But it got to the stage where I really couldn't do any more from a personal point of view, what I was inputting. And I think at the moment I miss that. I miss the challenge, which is why this sounds such a good thing to do.
Ruth thought it went well and that Alison seemed keen, despite Keith and Val's strange interview techniques. So what's their verdict?
Do you think you personally could work with her?
No,
You don't?
no. I don't think we gel at all. Apart from hotels, I don't think we have anything in common. And I don't mean that in a horrible way. I think personality-wise, we'd probably not gel.
Actually, I was really quite impressed with how she coped and thought she would enjoy working with you and the chaos and the da-da-da-da. And I thought, this is really positive. So I was quite surprised when Val said she wasn't so keen.
I know. I haven't really had a chance to find from her yet. I think it's just a pure personality thing. I don't think it's a judgment on her abilities or anything like that.
No.
Alison seemed the perfect candidate, experienced, smart and welcoming. And more importantly, excited about trying to turn Val and Keith's failing business around. Increasingly frustrated by Val's negative attitude, Ruth leaves them to get on with it.
Well, I've now spent quite a lot of time with Keith and Val, talking to them fairly intensively about how this hotel works, or if we're going to be very honest, it doesn't work. And I've left them with a big plan of action. Some real proper changes have got to be made. It can't just be waffle, it can't just be chat, it can't just be wishful thinking. Some real proper stuff has got to take place.
The next issues to be tackled: bringing in more corporate business, hiring a permanent head chef, and making those crucial staff cuts. But given their response so far, the signs are not too promising.
One should do. I can't make these people redundant. It will take away probably 50% of our trade.
It's like having my feet nailed to the floor and my wings clipped. It's total murder.
When Keith and Val Morris bought the Hanmer Arms in Shropshire, neither of them had ever run a hotel before. Since they've been in charge, takings have dropped by over £250,000 a year, and they're losing over £2,000 a week. Expert hotelier Ruth Watson is trying to turn their fortunes round. The first thing she wanted them to do was to take on defined, visible roles that both staff and customers could respect.
Yeah, I need one more beef, mate.
Surprisingly, Keith and Val have sprung into action.
Put the times on your tickets.
Despite all her protestations, Val is finally on the rota, and Keith is getting to know his customers for the first time in 3.5 years.
Would you like any drinks?
He's serving in the restaurant and has rather taken to playing the perfect host.
Brad. Has it changed hands? Oh yeah, 3.5 years ago, sir.
Regular customers don't recognise their new waiter.
No, well they usually keep hidden out the way. He didn't even know I owned it. He said he'd never seen me before. I think perhaps I should make myself more known.
But while Keith seems to have taken Ruth's advice on board and is even enjoying himself, Val finds her recommendations a bit trying.
The only frustrating thing that I've known since I've met Ruth, having Ruth around, is the fact that, yes, I didn't want to go on the rota, and no, I don't want to go on the rota, but I am on the rota. I do get a little bit uppity sometimes. It's like having my feet nailed to the floor and my wings clipped. It's total murder.
So far, so good.
That's it. That's £13.10, please. Thank you, sir.
But Ruth also wanted Keith and Val to hire a permanent head chef, saving them £10,000 a year, and a full-time receptionist to take control front of house. Now Ruth's back and she's expecting progress. At first glance, the signs look promising. There's a brand new chef in the kitchen.
It's John. He's amazing. He's amazing.
Wonderful new chef.
This is
Only been here
Mr.
4 days.
Mendes.
Feels like he's been here 4 months, but there we go.
Still smiling, which I regard as
Yeah,
something of a bit
it is amazing.
What's your feeling so far about this place? Your initial thoughts? Can't ask any more than that.
We've got a long way to go, but I don't think, it's not that far really. As if he's still smiling in a month.
There's also a fresh face behind the desk.
Good afternoon, the Hanmer Hotel, Tracy speaking. How can I help you?
But unlike Ruth's preferred applicant, this new receptionist has no hotel experience and knows nothing about the business.
How long have you been here now?
2 days.
Right, okay. And do you have any idea of what you're doing?
Not really, no.
Is anyone actually telling you what to do, how to do anything?
Not really, no. It's a bit up in the air at the moment. I think I've been just dropped in at the deep end, so...
Right. Do you feel a bit abandoned?
Yes, you could say that.
Anyway, I love your nail varnish. It's fantastic. So just hold on to that thought. Nice smile. You'll get through it.
Hopefully.
How long have you been here? Since I've been here last, there are at least 5 different faces that I've picked up on, and I'm really intrigued to find out whether the staff that I was hoping would be made redundant is still here as well, because otherwise what's happening is that the staffing ratios have gone up, not gone down. Okay. You were meant to make a few redundancies.
I know.
And I see more faces, and I'm worried that you've actually got more staff than you had, not less.
I think we've got one more. I think we've got one extra front of house person than we had.
Amazingly, instead of making redundancies, Keith has actually increased the payroll, taking on Russell, a new front of house manager.
You're looking happier.
Oh, I am. I'm much happier.
This
I'm
is
much
great.
happier. I'm much more relaxed, and I'm
Good.
and I'm getting more focused. I'm getting there.
Keith may think he's getting there, but there's still a long way to go. If he can't face making redundancies, those spiralling overheads will never come down. With the family investors breathing down his neck, he really needs to take action quickly. Ruth tackles Keith and Val head-on about their inability to face the fact they need to make sweeping staff cuts.
That's for sure.
The law says you have to take the people as they are when you take the business over. Yeah.
When you take the business over, absolutely right. We're talking 3.5 years down the line.
I can't make these people redundant.
You can make them redundant. That is absolute rubbish. You can
And what
make them
effect does it
redundant.
have on the business? When
It will
every
reduce your overhead to a point where you actually might be profitable.
It will take away probably 50% of our trade, because
Wow.
every member of staff lives within 5 miles of the hotel.
You're
Every customer
sounding
is
like
within
a
10.
scared rabbit in
No,
the
I'm not
headlines.
a scared rabbit. I'm a
You
realist.
are.
No, I'm a
I'm sorry.
realist.
Right.
I'm an accountant. I'm a
What?
realist.
Right, you're going to have to piss some people off, right?
Right, okay.
You're going to have to be brave and bold and take that. Look, you're loved by each other, you're loved by your family, you're loved by your friends. You don't have to be loved by the village, and you don't have to be loved by your staff. What you do need to have...
If Keith is going to keep putting off the necessary redundancies, it'll be even more vital they find new ways to increase their revenue and get the cash flowing in the right direction. The business used to have a thriving corporate side, but since Val and Keith took over, all the big clients have gone, and the hotel's left with nothing but a trickle. It's time for the next stage of Ruth's plan.
I want to say something very encouraging to you. While I've been staying around and about the place, you're far and away the best hotel in terms of rooms, cleanliness and bathrooms. There is genuine potential, and I think if you sit and wait for it to come for you, it's
never going to happen.
No, you're right. It's
I
never
quite
gonna
agree.
What I suggest you do is pick out 10 leading companies in the area, and what we've got to do is to get them onto your territory, wine and dine them, and then the key thing is to actually ask them what it is they want from you that you can provide, and thereby hopefully make a great union together.
Keith and Val are now feeling decidedly upbeat. They take on the challenge of inviting local businesses to a champagne reception. If they can get these businesses on their own turf, they can turn on the charm, build new relationships, and more importantly, get some big spending clients to commit to some bookings. But will this very simple idea prove too much for Keith and Val? Two weeks later, and the day of the party arrives. Over the course of the evening, Keith and Val's guests will get a chance to sample the new chef's food, tour Hanmer's bedrooms and check out the hotel facilities.
Keith's going to do the opening speech, as it were.
Right.
Russell's going to show people around downstairs.
Yeah.
Keith's going to show a bit of function room, and you're
Yes.
going to be the room shower. So you tell me, this is your hotel. What would you say about the room?
Well, I just say this is one of my favourite rooms. It's lovely and quiet and tranquil. I love the high ceilings. I love the spaciousness of the room.
Yeah.
And it has a lovely big bathroom.
That's
It's
nice,
reputed
yeah.
to be haunted. We have 2 customers that will not stay in here. They're absolutely...
Certainly leave out the ghosts.
I never mention them.
Yeah.
They tell me.
So, Keith, I want to go through with what you and Val are going to do. What you're going to say about this place, because you need to do a little round-up speech.
Obviously, we can inform the customers about its lovely surroundings. If they're interested in churches or anything like that, they've got all that.
Not fucking churches. I'm sorry, Keith.
Oh, all right.
They aren't going to come here for the fucking churches. Sorry.
Oh, all right, all right.
I
I was just adding that in about a wonderful location. Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry. I know that was only practice, but
I know,
keep the
I know.
sodding churches
Okay,
out of it,
okay,
all right? They might
all right.
be Jewish or Mormons anyway. Okay, so don't want churches.
But we can cater for any religious...
Any religious sect is welcome at Hanmer.
Exactly.
No, that's not the idea. Don't want you to go off woolly-headed into the undergrowth. Val and I, all our staff, generally want to provide you with personal professional service. We want to make every event, meeting, conference a huge success for you.
Yeah, and therefore for us, yes.
And therefore,
Because
yes.
you'll come back, yes. Okay. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, okay.
Keith prepares his speech and the staff get on with last-minute party preparations. At 6 p.m, guests from 15 prestigious local companies, the head of Shropshire Tourism and the Mayoress of Whitchurch arrive. They represent thousands of pounds worth of potential business, so everything must run smoothly.
Ladies and gentlemen, just one moment, please. I appreciate you all coming. Thank you very much indeed. Excuse me, look at my notes, but otherwise I'll waffle on too much. I mean, Val and I, really, we try to run this to our best ability as a family business. It is a family-owned business anyway, but our daughter Charlotte used to be with us. She's recently left us to have a baby. Facilities for us. I think ran them fairly well. She will be joining us again. As soon as I finish speaking, and as long as I don't say too long, the hot canapes that are about to come up from the kitchen should still be hot. We run this with a view to giving everybody good service. We have ISDN connection in them all, so if businessmen need to get away, do some work for a meeting the next day, we hope they... they're usually fairly well liked. We can close the doors there, separate and have 2 functions at once. That's about all we can in the place, the function rooms, the facilities we've got. So thank you again all for coming, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thanks very much.
In no time, the party's in full swing. Chef's food is going down well. But before long, Keith and Val start to let the side down. Instead of making their guests feel welcome and selling the hotel's obvious assets, their negativity starts to show itself again.
We're not really party people. We like looking after people, but we're usually just waiting on rather than actually throwing parties.
Russell is our replacement guy. I think he's finding it quite different. He's come from a, what should I say, a more professionally run or less family run operation, and I think he's finding us quite difficult.
To add insult to injury, Val disappears in the middle of her own party, leaving Ruth to introduce new chef John to the guests.
Excuse me, everyone. I'd just like to introduce you to John, who's the new head chef, been here a few weeks, and as you can tell, is doing a fabulous job.
With John content to chat to his satisfied clientele, Ruth goes on a mission to find the wayward Val.
Yeah, because those are actually conference rates
Val?
there. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Just helping Tracy a minute because she's just a bit lost. Do you want me back up now?
Well, you're meant to be the hostess.
No, I'm
You're
going
meant to be
back.
circulating
I
and
can't leave.
talking
I
to
have
guests.
been. I can't leave
You
on
should
her
be
own.
introducing your chef to your customers. You should
Sorry,
be doing that.
is Keith not there then?
Yeah, but he's talking to other customers.
Despite Keith and Val's negativity, on the surface the party appears to be a success.
The quality of food was superb. I mean, even just having a little taster, you can see that the quality's gone up a lot.
I'm certainly be recommending it to a lot of my clients from my firm in Chester, where I work, to come over and have some conferences over here. It's wonderful.
Well, it's been an eye-opener really for me, because when I've come previously, it was a much sort of smaller operation. So the quality of the food is excellent, and I've also been impressed by the bedrooms and the accommodation as well.
So you think you might come back business-wise?
Definitely.
I'm hoping to come back next week to bring some friends for a birthday treat. It really has impressed me. It's lovely.
I just want to say, on the whole, I think you did a fantastic job. There's a lot of people who are going to come back. So well done, everyone. Good. Cheers.
So Ruth's leaving on a high point. There's the prospect of more customers on the horizon, some more professional staff are in place to ease the pressure, and Keith and Val are playing a much more prominent role in the business. If they could only make those essential staff cuts, there'd be light at the end of the tunnel. Six weeks ago, Ruth left Val and Keith to their own devices. Now she's back to see if business is looking up.
Well, is this going to be a Hanmer happy story or a Hanmer horror story? I'm about to find out.
Top of Ruth's list of people to talk to is John, the first permanent head chef the hotel's had in 3.5 years.
Yeah, last time I saw you, it was the party, which seemed such a success. Did it go well for you, do you think?
On the night, yeah, very well. Yeah, it was good.
You say on the night, no follow-up?
No, not really, no. I mean, as far as the kitchen's concerned, you know, everything's going really, really well. I mean, there's good reports about the food, everything, you know, there's no negativity about the food at all.
How are bookings generally, though?
At the moment, poor.
Piss poor or just poor?
Extremely piss poor.
Hiya, how you doing?
Not too bad, you?
Okay,
So Ruth and John join new front-of-house man Russell at the bar.
Manager.
Yes, yeah. How's it going?
It's okay. It's had its ups and downs. There's some busy times, then it's gone quiet, but not enough for the size of the place.
Right. And so what are your plans?
See them through Christmas, but my plans are to be out in January.
Right. Okay.
Cheers, mate.
Disappointed by staff morale, Ruth has sat Keith and Val down to discuss what's gone wrong.
So, Keith and Val, the last time I saw you, we were at the party, which on the day seemed to be a great success, but have you had any business from it?
Unfortunately, no. I thought have some business on the night. Unfortunately, it hasn't transpired into actual bookings, and having chased them up, all sorts of reasons why they can't at the moment and so on.
I came in here hoping I could help save your business by giving you some ideas, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think you're ruthless or tough enough with the whole overhead thing, the staffing thing, what have you. And I think you mean to do those things, but you're too easily pushed off it.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Ruth, I agree with you entirely. The whole thing is a farce. I don't want to employ anybody. I've just had enough of it. I'm sick to death of the place, the people, everything. I've just had enough. What is the point in me trying to work my guts out, particularly when my family turn around and say, well, it's all your fault?
The Hanmer's prospects look precarious and Keith is deflated, but he still isn't ready to give in.
I still honestly believe that the place is potentially a goldmine.
But in 18 months' time, what state will the Hanmer Arms be in? "18 months ago, Keith and Val Morris asked Ruth Watson to help save their ailing business and turn their fortunes around. But was Ruth able to bring their business back from the brink? She's returned to Shropshire to find out. But strangely, Keith and Val have asked Ruth to come out to their home in the countryside rather than to the hotel itself. The house is set in a remote location 40 minutes drive from the Hanmer Arms. It's a tranquil pastoral setting, lush fields, a lake, and ample stable space for Val's many precious ponies. A world away from the chaos of the Hanmer Arms.
Hello there.
Hello.
Lovely to see you again.
And you too. How are you?
I'm very well indeed.
Yes,
Well, you look radiant, so you must be fine.
Very nice. Well, it's a fantastic spot here, I have to say.
It is.
So, how have things been?
Oh, a bit sad. It's sad. The fact that it's come to an end.
Listen, tell me more about it. Can we go and sit in the garden? Because it's so beautiful.
Come on then, let's walk on down.
So how did you find it in the first place? So, what do I have to read into the thing about things have come to an end?
Unfortunately, literally only last week, the hotel was actually sold. I find it very sad. I mean, I know we were never going to make a go of this, and I think we all understood that, to be honest with you.
So you weren't making the profits, obviously,
No,
and you bought it at 1.2 million or something?
It was 1.25,
1.25.
and then we had to find the extra money for the drainage.
What
that we
did
had to
you
put in.
sell it at?
It was on the market at 1.3. We actually had to drop it to 9.25.
Really? Yeah. And how many hundreds of thousands of pounds losses in the few years you were there?
I would think in the last 4 years we've lost in excess of £500,000.
It won't be news to you because I did say it at the time that I thought Val was a really disruptive feature of the business. This is one of your perennial problems. Don't ever work with your wife again, ever, or even attempt to. Don't.
Oh, I'm sorry, I disagree
don't.
with you. No, you're wrong. You're wrong.
No, I think she's very good at doing her horses and her things
No,
and what have you.
I'm sorry. I think now I could work with her much better than I could 5 years ago.
Why?
Working together 24/7, all the time, with all the aggro and all the pressures, it's a totally different environment, totally different situation.
Yeah, of course it is.
And I should have listened to her, and I didn't.
Keith is very protective of wife Val. Ruth ventures out into the yard to track her down and find out her side of the story.
Hi, Val. Hello. I found you in your milieu. Where you like to be. With your horses.
Exactly.
They are very lovely. I have to say, I can understand why you wanted to be here. I really can.
Absolutely adorable.
And I've just been speaking to Keith. Where do you think it all went wrong, Val?
I don't know really. I mean, I can't actually put a finger on one area.
What about another hotel? Would you ever
Absolutely no.
Once bitten and forever shy.
Forever and ever and ever shy. People might think I'm nuts, but I'm going to talk to my horses.
I think you're better at it.
Well, I was reared by a pony and a dog. I think like a horse and I behave like a dog.
I think we should leave it at that point.
So Keith and Val's time in charge of the Hanmer Arms has come to a sad end. The hotel stands empty, a shadow of its former glory. But its days of hospitality are not over. It's now under new management, and its owner has bright plans for its future. But what does the future hold for Keith and Val?
So, it looks like we've come to the end. You're no longer hoteliers. How do we feel about it?
Relieved.
And you look relieved, I have to say. You do look much younger and less stressed out than the last time I saw you.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Do you regret getting involved at all? It's been a very expensive financial...
Nobody would go into a venture and lose as much as we have and not have regrets.
But given that you had all this opprobrium from your family about the losses that were being made...
The problem was, I don't think they... I don't say they didn't believe us, but I don't think they understood quite how much we were sinking.
Are your family still speaking to you?
Just about, yes. No, I mean, they're obviously pretty unhappy, but I think they perhaps feel like us now. It's no good bearing grudges, if you like to put it like that. We've got to move forward.
I have to say, you do seem a whole stack happier, and it's nice to hear. You reckon your relationship is stronger for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
And well, that's great because you have to know that with other relationships, some people it would have completely split them apart, and that would have been the end of it. So, what's the future hold?
Myself, I've actually now got a job as a bursar of a private school in Warsaw.
The experience has left Keith with a clear idea of where his true skills lie. But can the same be said for Val and her future career choices?
Now, Val, we've had, interior design, we've had counselling, we've got the animals.
I'm a rainmaker. I can stand outside and make rain for England if you want. You send me to the Sahara and it rains for the first time ever.
You should phone up Thames Water Authority.
Yeah, I was going to say, they'd love to hear.
So which of these many skills do you think you're going to actually run with?
I'm a cracking hairdresser. I don't want it.
Yeah.
I could go in and be a buyer. I don't want it. But I think I could make more money by being a plumber and a tiler. I could probably be a millionaire in 3 years' time.
So the good bit is you guys are still together.
Yeah.
And you're smiling. I'm thrilled that the hotel world will never have to have your presence in it again.
Thank you.
That's ever so kind of you, Ruth.
I think you're a liability that we don't need. Sorry, in the nicest possible way.
I mean, that's perhaps true.
No, listen, you weren't cut out for that. And I'm really pleased that you've seen it and recognised it and that you're onto something else, and I'm sure you're going to be a whole stack happier.
I think it was just the wrong thing for us. Totally the wrong thing.
Yeah. Well, it's jolly good to catch up with Keith and Val, but it's hardly come as a surprise that Hanmer did not work for them. I'm sure the new owners can make a success of it, but Keith and Val simply aren't cut out for that kind of work. I just am really pleased to see, though, that their marriage has survived and they seem happier than they ever were when they were being hoteliers.